Hi, Marco. So nice to have you. First of all, thank you so much for being in the podcast. I'm super excited to have you. So, welcome, first of all.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia, for inviting me. So we were in contact for a while. Now it's happening, right? And so great that I can join your podcast.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while, but I'm happy that you're here to talk about the future of design, of UX, about the future of education. And before we are diving into the topic, I would love you to do a super brief introduction. What do you do? Where are you coming from? And yeah, what's your role currently?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So I'm working with IBM, one of the largest tech companies in the world, and more exactly within IBM iX, which is the digital agency of IBM. It's a kind of good kept secret, actually. So we're one of the largest digital agencies globally, with around 17,000 people around the world. And I work here in the DACH region, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland. And my role is that I lead the designers here, the experience designers in the DACH region. And we're quite a good large bunch of people, so around 150 to 170 designers here in the region. And this is something not many people know. So IBM has this really long heritage of design. Maybe we can talk a bit about this later in the podcast here, reaching back like in the middle of the 20th century, right, with Paul Rand and others really starting the first design program at scale within a tech company. And today we have around 3,000 designers at IBM globally. So we're one of the largest design, I'd say, communities in a big tech company. And of course, this in the end then helps us, yeah, to scale, to grow, to yeah, tackle new challenges like AI at the moment quite well. Yeah, and so I'm working in the here in the in Germany mostly with the external clients, so consulting like big automotive companies, health companies in the public sector, consulting our clients on digital transformation, improving their customer experiences, working on digital products with my team, and this is a lot of fun and quite complex and challenging at times as well at the moment. So yeah, let's talk about this.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, I can imagine that it's not always super easy, especially right now with AI, a lot of changes. We will dive a little bit deeper into it in a second. But I think what's also so interesting is that IBM is there for like such a long time, starting with Paul Rand, design is such a high priority, and it still is right nowadays. So maybe you can talk a little about the changes that you're currently seeing, especially with AI. I mean, you're leading a team there, so I assume this is a big topic there as well in your design team. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, actually, there are two questions in one. First of all, yes, we have
Yes.
this long design heritage, right?
Yeah.
Within IBM, and the whole design program at IBM has gone through a lot of changes, right, in the last, let's say, 20, 30 years here. And we restarted the program actually 10 years ago. And based on this insight that we needed to train our company on design thinking and wanted to really push design within IBM to be able to tackle those complex transformation challenges, right? So with design, with the design thinking, we can yeah embrace the unknown, so to say, and guide our clients with. I mean, everybody who's listening to this podcast knows about design thinking and everything, all the methodologies. But we saw the need to educate our clients and also our colleagues within the company to really be better in design and understand the value design can bring to the table. And this was quite successful, right? And from there, we scaled the design practices and our skills, and now really have this broad range of capabilities within IBM, from reaching from UX researchers to UX UI designers, service designers, product designers. But in my team, I also have motion designers, texters, classical copywriters. We call this then content design. Etc., and presentation designers as well. So was an interesting and I think quite successful journey. And now, as you rightly said, now AI comes along, right? So, and
Mhm.
IBM is positioning itself as one of the leading artificial intelligence companies around the globe, helping our clients, mostly in the B2B sector, to become better, faster, smarter with AI, right? And we, of course, are part of this journey as designers. I mean, within IBM X, we work mostly with external clients. So we're not the part of IBM who designs the IBM software. So, but we work, of course, with Watson X and all the great software coming out of the teams working within IBM technology. But we are part of the consulting part, and we are technology agnostic. So we work not only with IBM technology, but also with all the other yeah, great tools and software providers in the market. Have a large cooperation, for example, with Adobe, with SAP and others, and of course they work with ChatGPT and all the other
Mhm.
AIs out there. Yeah, needed to understand in the last 2 years as designers how this works. Yeah, what is a large language model? What is a small language model? What is the difference between Gen AI and classical machine learning and AI? Everything like this we weren't quite used to, but now we learned it, right? And part of my task was to enable and train our designers a bit. So we set up, for example, a large global course designed for AI and with AI for our designers, which was quite successful already beginning of last year. And now, really, yeah, this is a big part of our business, right? Designing with and for AI. That's quite interesting. I mean, designing for AI, first of all, it's all about, in the end, then making sure that AI plays a crucial and valuable role within our clients' environments and ecosystems. Sounds so simple, but there are a lot of obstacles, right? When it comes to legal training data, transparency, bias, identifying the use cases and the value AI can bring, being aware of all the, I'd say, pitfalls, right? AI can have a huge CO2 footprint if not implemented rightly. AI can, yeah, in the end, then also, yeah, be wrong sometimes. It can hallucinate. So you all know the pitfalls sometimes, and this is kind of our role as designers, but also as technologists within IBM to consult our clients rightly in this realm. And the second thing is, yeah, designing with AI. So we designers, we of course, yeah, now use tools which are supported, driven by AI. For example, Firefly within the Adobe tool chain and others. And also our friends at Figma tried to introduce AI a couple of weeks ago, right? And had some bumpy times with this
Ah, so
actually.
sad, yeah.
Um, and all our clients are kind of thinking, hey, do we still need designers? I mean, we have AI
Mm,
now, right? And this is so funny somehow because, of course, we need designers, maybe even more so with AI here today. Yeah, but we designers, we need to learn how to consult our clients on the new tool chains coming up, on all those new technologies, how to use AI in a great and I'd say sustainable way, legally safe. And yeah, this has been a challenge over the last years, and I think we're well positioned within this here as IBM iX, but of course we want to share our knowledge with the outer world. And I personally want to really, in the end, then tell the designers out there, so don't be afraid. I will not replace you. In the end, maybe a designer using AI will replace you in the
yeah.
future. So you need to step up your game. But then we're in a great position as designers.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I really love that you emphasize the importance of learning and understanding, right? So that we, as designers, at the moment, wherever we work, whatever we do, we need to step up our game, as you said, right? Like we need to learn, we need to understand, because if we don't, we are not able to consult our clients. You know, they know more than us. And what should we do, right? Like we need to know what's going on, to be involved in those conversations. Otherwise, other departments are going to take over, and then the designers are there. I don't know. I know how to use Figma, but I have no idea what a large language model is. This would be
Yeah.
so sad, right?
Yeah. So the consulting part is such a huge part of a designer's role today. And I think it's sometimes a bit overseen in the design education, also in the self-image of designers. So we tend to really praise ourselves for a great craft, and craft is always the foundation, right? So we need to be able to really produce great quality in UX and UI and visual design, etc. But this is just the foundation. In the end, we need to be good partners with our clients, need to understand their business cases, need to educate them where design can play a crucial role and in the end provide value in the existing ecosystems of our clients or to digital products our clients and partners want to establish in the market. And so this is something we train internally a lot, I'd say, right? And I mean, we are both in the Art Directors Club, Patricia and I here in Germany, and we talk a lot in those rounds about how we can improve, yeah, design education. I'd say, especially in Germany, as this might be play a bigger role in the future, right? Consulting for design with design, and in the end, enabling designers to speak up, right? To be a part of those crucial business conversations, which lead to yeah, successful business.
Yeah, I think this is such a good point. And I don't know how it was when you started, but when I studied, I learned nothing about business. I did a presentation about design, of course, like my work basically, but I did not really learn anything about consultation, about really articulating design decisions, about all these things that are so important when you actually design. And I think this really needs to change. And I'm wondering how it is currently, like in design schools and universities in Germany. I assume that unfortunately it's not a big topic at the moment, but I feel like this needs to be much more focused on like soft skills, on yeah, articulating design decisions, learning how to consult, thinking about the business topics as well, right? Like design is not just design, it's like design, it's technology, it's business. There are a lot of topics that basically interfere. So I think it's such an important point. And I'm curious, you mentioned that you're training your designers internally. How do you do that? Do you do courses or what kind of training do you do?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe one of the larger advantages we have is that we are such a big community as designers within
Mhm.
IBM. So as I said, 3,000 globally, half of it sits within IBM iX globally. Already here in the DACH region, we are a lot, 150 people around about. So this helps with peer-to-peer learning. And we do structured peer-to-peer learning, so which means we yeah, in small working groups, we set up courses, curricula for new topics. First of all, we identify new topics, all right,
Mhm.
or topics or areas where we need to grow in. For example, design with AI, or in the last years, we put a huge emphasis on illustration in digital design, for example. Motion design is another topic coming up. Now, of course, spatial experiences, designing for spatial experiences is a big thing as well. And we identify those topics and then align within small working groups, provide the work on the content, provide the content to the rest of the designers, and in the end, then train. Yeah, in training on the job is preferred, of course, but yeah, we need to do this preparation training as well to be able to acquire those jobs. And then sharing is caring, right? So really part of our business is after a project or within a project to then consolidate the learnings and share those learnings with colleagues in a market or globally. So we quickly get together also on a global level. So my global chief design officer, Billy Seabrook, assembles all the design leaders globally once a month, and we share, of course, the knowledge there and help us to tackle those complexities and in the end then share also assets. So, but this is also maybe one thing I can share with you. So, assets is a big topic within IBM, and assets help us to accelerate our design processes. Sometimes also this is a topic always seen by designers, but of course, if you have done a design system for a specific client, you can then abstract this and share it with the community and use it to kickstart another design system engagement with another client. And this is
Mhm.
how we grow knowledge, right? So it kind of works like a little academy here within IBM. Um, and we, for example, use our own design system, IBM Carbon Design, a lot as a Kickstarter for designing system engagements with clients, right? And it is definitely an advantage to have the scale. And then we have systems, we call it Your Learning, for example. We have a learning system within IBM where we then put in those courses, and people from other, I'd say, countries or even other professions can do those courses, even acquire certifications, etc. So maybe one hint I can share here. So our learning courses for design thinking, we share it actually publicly. So it's open source material. Have a look at ibm.com/design/thinking, right? And you can already make some of those design thinking courses of IBM. We have our own framework for design thinking. It's called Enterprise Design Thinking. So based on the D-School design thinking framework, we kind of build on new, I'd say, challenges and methods more tailored for the enterprise, for B2B scenarios. So everybody can do this. Just have a look at it. And also within the ibm.com/design pages, we share a lot of other stuff with the outer world because we kind of believe in open source, I'd
Mhm.
say, as a company.
Love that. I think that's awesome. I'm going to link everything in the description box so people can check it out. Um, so what tips do you have for someone who's maybe a junior designer or like still studying design, want to pivot to their first job? What do you think? What skills would be important and how do you get those skills?
Yeah. So maybe looking back into my own career, actually I started doing design end of the 90s, right, of the last century. And I studied communication science and business and politics. So I made my way in the design scene kind of on my own. I had a friend, and we set up a small studio, and then the first wave of digital design actually came along around 2000, and we worked with many startups and companies here, actually, especially in Berlin. So I live in Berlin, right? And from there on, we grew our skills, right? So I come from the other side, so to say, right? And I just acquired my design skills along the way. And then I did teach at a private university in Berlin for 10 years. And also was part of the group who set up curricula, etc. So now the university is called University of Europe. At the time, it was called BTK, Berliner Technische Kunsthochschule. Um, and this was fun, and I learned a lot actually. And so, from this perspective, I can say, folks out there, definitely, if you study design, read marketing books, read business books, read, and maybe if you have the chance, go to another university and take a course on business basics, right? And understand the metrics and the ways of working behind business, understand how money flows, and you can provide value to actually a company with great products, with great design. Because in the end, it's about quality and design and human-centric design and special. But if the business case behind a digital product is not correct or okay, yeah, business will draw the socket. If you say it in Germany, I don't know if this is a saying in English.
I don't know.
No, it isn't, right? It's a false friend, right? So, but
Yeah.
but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is something I definitely encourage you, and also maybe learn a bit of communication science and basically communication strategy. So marketing communication strategy is also overseen sometimes. I mean, I know a lot of UX UI designers want to go directly into product design today, which is good and fine and okay. But also a big field of working is within the customer experience area, right? And there you need to understand marketing talk and marketing lingo, and also marketing strategy and communication strategy to be really at pari with your colleagues and clients. And you need to be able to articulate yourself with this specific wordings. I mean, we as designers, we have our lingo as well, but you need to understand other lingo.
Yeah, I think it's such a good tip. Do you have any specific book recommendations where you feel like this is one that you should read?
Basically go to a bookstop you trust actually, and go to the marketing or business basics
Yeah.
shelf, and grab any business basics book and really start
Yeah.
with the basics, I would say. Maybe
Mhm.
with marketing for dummies even, whatever,
I
right?
love that. I
For
love those
dummies.
books for dummies. I think they're so good. I have a lot
Yeah,
of them.
that's it, yeah. And then, of course, there are a lot of online courses,
Mhm.
etc., and a lot of influencers in this area. But I would really recommend to look at the basics, right?
Mhm.
The standard books first, before diving into more specific topics. Mm,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think great tips, right? It's so interesting and fascinating, right? That when we study design, we learn about design, that design is not everything, but it's like there's so many other things that we need to know, not by heart, right? Like not everything, but we need to understand, we need to know that it's out there, and maybe just reading this one book can really help you. And especially if you're still studying or young, this can be such a game changer for you to understand the business
Maybe
wherever
one
you
other
are, right?
point. Yeah, sorry. Maybe one other point. What I see quite often is that yeah, designers in the end identify too much with their job. So in the uni, we are taught like express yourself and go for it, do what you like, right?
Yeah.
Follow your passion, etc. Which is okay, which is great. But later in your careers, you will find out that we are service providers as designers. So we work for with others who, yeah, ask us to do stuff for them. And if we don't do this, this is art, right? So art is cool, art is okay. If we work for ourselves or for our book, our project, this is cool. But do not confuse this with, yeah, service work, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not about you, yourself, your ego, etc. It's about blending in into large, complex teams, product teams, digital marketing teams, etc. Especially in our field here, digital design, those teams can be huge and complex, and you need to develop your I'd say, collaboration and leadership skills within those teams. Yeah, understand when to raise your voice and when to push and when not, actually. And
Hmm.
this shouldn't be about yourself too much, actually, and your passion too much. Sometimes you need to grow the resilience because, I mean, digital products can take a while, and sometimes they POCs, MVPs, they don't see the light of day or have seen ending somehow due to any reason, right? Mostly not due to lack of quality, etc., but maybe, I don't know, a
Hmm.
business can go to another direction, etc. And don't be sad if a project lands in the drawer somehow of your clients, etc. It's always worth pushing and yeah, accept that part of the business is really being resilient when the project is being stopped or nobody follows on a project, right? This is just part of the game, and you shouldn't be too sad with it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's so important, but so difficult. Like the first times, like when you really put all your heart in it and then project stops. But this is totally normal, and this is definitely part of the iterative process, right? So much better than like putting something out there that's supposed to be perfect and not iterating. But all iteration also means that maybe you find out at some point that it's not worth it or that there's not enough money, all these kind of things. So that's definitely part of the game. And I think it's so helpful to hear that this happens to every designer and everyone out there, that if you work on a project that has been stopped, it's not just you. We all went through it. It's totally normal. Keep going, keep pushing, as you mentioned. I think so important because that can be frustrating, I think, especially in the beginning when you're young, right? So when you're just starting out. Um, so we talked a little bit about AI already, right? So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about how you think the industry is going to change in the next, let's next decade. Of course, no one really knows, but from your experience, maybe from the things that you're seeing with your own students that you're teaching, from your design team, what do you think are trends that we need to be very aware of, or maybe certain skills or methods that we should keep an eye on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's of course hard to predict, but a couple of gut
Mhm.
feelings I would have, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, so in the moment, like I mean, after 2 years of massive hype around AI, it's absolutely clear AI is here to stay. AI will not go away, so you need to really occupy yourself with AI. AI will be part of our business as designers in one way or the other. But it's not going to happen overnight. So we see the pitfalls now at the moment, as I already said. Of course, I mean, technically, AI can do a lot, and we see improvements every month with Midjourney, Runway, Sora, right? We follow on Instagram and LinkedIn those great AI designers producing amazing content with AI,
Yeah.
especially in the visual realm. But also, let's not oversee the text-based large language models and great improvements there. And this is cool, but then using AI in a safe and controlled and transparent way in a business environment, etc., has its pitfalls, right? So we also see at the moment many legal cases, specifically in the US, where artists sue companies like Midjourney on training data. So accusing Midjourney and others and Delhi to train actually their large language models on existing artworks. And so this is something I follow closely because in the end it's a big battle. And so the I mean, the legal system has to decide whether it's okay to train AI by looking at existing artworks or existing, I'd say, designs out there or not. I mean, we humans, we learn by looking at things as well. So this is the way we learn, or especially as designers, right? We look at best practices, benchmarks, on Behance, etc., every day, and we kind of apply this into our daily work. And
Hmm.
this is kind of going to be decided in the court somehow. So let's watch out for this. So, for example, to employ Midjourney legally safe within clients, it's a huge topic actually, and you need legal consultation because it could be that Midjourney will lose it in court, and then who knows what the consequences will be. So. I
Yeah.
think Adobe did a great job with Firefly, for example, in the end, then safeguarding a bit around this and ensuring that the training data for Firefly is transparent somehow. So this is something you need to look at actually, and also look at of course, then the external effects of using AI. Like I said already, the CO2 footprint of using AI, the usage costs for tokens, etc., is sometimes overseen
Mhm.
in the early phases of our project. Everybody's super enthusiastic, right? We want AI now, and it will help a lot, right? Yeah, there's a lot of hidden costs. Also, the cost for training AI in the right way is overseen. So, to give you one example, we work with Berlin Chemie Therapy here in Berlin on a portal for yeah, people who have COPD, so which is a I mean, breathing disease somehow. And this portal gave already like good hints and treatment helps for patients in the past. And now we wanted to introduce AI because AI, of course, can help in a conversational way patients to cope better with their disease. And there's a lot of things patients have to really look at when they want to live with COPD.
Mhm.
And of course, we needed to train the large language model meticulously, made sure that doctors were involved and medical experts, right? And needed to make sure that there are no hallucinations at all, that all the, in the end, then recommendations by the AI were on point, 100% on point. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, if you work in the health area or industry, this in the end then can save lives, right? So, and this is, it takes a time. It takes a time to train and adjust and train and adjust and to really, in the end, then establish the legal framework behind this to enable this. And especially here in the European Union, we saw the AI Act now coming into place at the European level. Everybody's looking into this at the moment. What does it mean for us here as digital consultants, digital experience providers? What is allowed, what not, and what can we do? So this is also something we need to look at. So basically, I mean, the hype is still there, but the people are getting serious now and really also looking at the business cases behind AI. And AI will solve many problems and accelerate many business processes, but not all.
Yeah.
And what I see also is our clients coming back to us with basically the tasks which have been overseen in the last 2 years, which is like normal development of customer experiences, normal development of mobile apps and digital touch points and digital products, sometimes also without AI,
Yeah.
right? But of course, a big chunk of our business is now working on those POCs, MVPs, and products driven by AI. Mm. So this is one thing. And another thing I see in terms of what will change for us designers is that the paradigms of UX UI design will change. So all the, I mean, last 20 years, for example, digital website design, but also app design and others was about minimizing click journeys, right? And optimizing, yeah, customer journeys
Mhm.
to goal towards certain goals, right? To optimizing the customer journey to purchase a product or to in the end user service, etc. And we always talked about journeys. And now we talk about intent and results, right, with AI. ChatGPT was not only successful because of the technical capabilities of ChatGPT, but also because of the interface, right? So this really easily accessible chat interface, a natural language interface, which has now become multimodal, which is great. And so this already changed something. But now we also saw the announcements by Apple, right? And Apple will use AI in a completely different way. They will integrate AI in every interaction and really make it kind of context sensitive. And AI will pop up left and right during your daily, I'd say, work journeys and not necessarily the chat interface. And so those two tendencies we see will really challenge the existing paradigms of UX UI in terms of will we still design pages or viewports or whatever, uh, but rather, I don't know, have really super fluid, interactive, context-sensitive interfaces which will pop up when needed and in a couple of different form factors than we are used today.
Yeah, I think fascinating, right? Like what's ahead of us and all the things that are coming. Yeah, thanks for pointing all those things out. I think super interesting. I must say, I'm personally especially interested in the second part and all the fluid interfaces. And I'm a freelancer, so I'm working with different companies also on AI products. And what I think from a UX perspective is still very challenging is to prototype flows or even like, yeah, create those flows, create prototypes for ever-changing interfaces, right? That are constantly learning and constantly evolving, and then testing these things out. I think this is the challenge early on, where you
Yeah.
don't want to have code involved, right? Like, but you want to test it. And I think there you need to have a lot of creativity to come up with solutions, right? Because you need to test it somehow. And we're used to very static interfaces that are always the same. They're, we have the same buttons, we have the same layout for everyone. But imagine that these things are changing.
Yeah.
Fascinating, right?
Yeah. Really
It's crazy.
fascinating. And we
Unbelievable.
really need to grow our, I'd say, motion design and micro interaction skills as digital designers. So,
Exactly.
I mean, this is the first thing which is overseen, and this is the first thing people just, I mean, think is not necessary. But in the end, this is what really makes an interface a great interface. All those tiny
Yeah.
interactions, and it takes time to design those and to implement those. Also, with our friends from front end, right? I think it's super important as a designer to really collaborate very early in the process with front end developers, looking at the frameworks or the existing code which can be used for specific, yeah, interactive elements or fluid elements. Because if you already have the code and can reuse stuff, it makes things a lot simpler. And we designers tend a bit too much to work in our own box in the beginning of the
Yeah.
process, right? And I think collaboration really is key for successful products.
Yeah.
And then testing and prototyping, I mean, is key. And this is something we sometimes need to convince our clients on, that it's really worth investing in a design vision or an early prototype to share with stakeholders and shareholders to really make sure we are going in the right direction. And yeah, but if so, it really definitely makes sense because yeah, it helps us to test things with users and get early feedback in the process. And I mean, we all know this is really the most important part of a business, really be human centric.
Yeah.
And go out there and yeah, get results and feedback from potential users.
That's true, right? Because like user-centric is still the same. Like if we have AI or not, it's still about the user. I mean, not thinking about a dystopian future where we're designing for robots, right? But like human being will still be the same. So I think, um, yeah, it's great that you mentioned that. So a final question for you, although I think like we could continue talking and discussing the future of design, I think for hours. I think there are so many insights that you already shared. So thank you so much for doing that. I think super, super interesting. So to conclude, do you have any resources, recommendations for our listeners? Any, I don't know, articles, tools? How do you keep up to date, basically?
Yeah. So as I already said, we have a lot of resources as IBM to share. So have a look at, for example, ibmix.de, which is our website, and we
Mhm.
share good cases there and also insights and white papers. Also, as I said, ibm.com/design is a great resource, right? We recently also shared a report on, yeah, how AI will disrupt the design sector and what we see at our client side based on research data we gathered from interviews with leaders across the globe, business leaders across the globe. I think we can share this in the here in the podcast as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, other than that, definitely, I mean, two recommendations is yeah, set up your LinkedIn stream in the right way so that you follow the right protagonists and design leaders. So, for example, I follow Doug Powell, a former colleague of myself, right, a lot, who really is a great protagonist in design ops and the design leadership and others. Also John Maeda of Microsoft, etc. So I follow those design leaders and also follow your podcast a lot, Patricia.
Thank you.
So it's really good to stay in contact and in the end then fuel the discussion. Also, I would encourage everybody to voice your own viewpoint as well. And also on Instagram, you can follow a lot of design companies and yeah, design influencers. So I use my Instagram account not necessarily for my friends, but more for business actually
Nice. Me too.
topic. So this is really worth it. Then of course the rest, I mean, Behance, etc. It's really so important to look at the benchmarks again and again and again. I mean, we're a global community now as designers. Everything is so transparent and everything is going so fast and new things are developed at such a speed. It's sometimes really hard to cope and to keep up. So be friendly to yourself, but try to cope and try to keep up because that's definitely needed. And take your time to educate yourself. Take your time to really look into the new features of Figma and look at the, for example, the recording of Figma config, etc. and yeah, take your time for self-education. I think this is really the most important investment you should do as a freelancer. But of course, if you are employed as well, work with your managers, etc., to reserve the time to learn again and again and again what design is about, what the status quo is. So this is also sometimes overseen, right? So you should have
Mhm.
those conversations with your managers, and you need to learn to be able to produce the quality which is necessary at this certain moment in time. And
Yeah.
your managers should reserve the time for this.
Yeah. Great tips, I think. Like being very proactive, right? Like because you need to now you really need to be on it basically. Like all the education contents that you mentioned, so important. I hope that everyone knows how necessary this is at the moment to really stay up to date. There are courses that already curate content for you. There are articles. There are a lot of people who already curate the content for you. Some are for free, some not. So I think you don't need to do everything on your own, right? But as you mentioned, like I'm going to link all the resources in the description box that you mentioned so people can check it out and stay up to date. So, Marco, if people would like to contact you, maybe ask a question, where can they reach you the best?
Yeah, contact me via LinkedIn. I
Okay, LinkedIn.
normally answer in a couple of days, not in real time, but I try to
Fair enough.
do it at least 2 or 3 times a week, right? And look for job offerings on our website. It's at ibm.ux.de, right? So we have a couple of job openings there. Of course, the market is a bit tough at the moment. I understand this. A lot of designers are looking for a job. So this is something we haven't discussed yet, Patricia, but it definitely
Next
it's a
time.
tough time for designers, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen some layoffs, especially in the tech sector and startup sector here, and especially in Germany. But yeah, keep up your good mood and then push yourself. It would be like the tip I would give you, right? Because
Yeah.
better times will come for sure. And you are as needed as you were last year, and the year before, and the year before. And so the design job will not go away. Definitely not. But definitely, yeah, I think we all need to step up our game. That's for sure.
So true. And even if you are unemployed right now, like if you educate yourself, do a course, no one can take this away from you, right? Like this only differentiates you from the masses, basically. So I think, yeah, stay positive. And Marco, thank you so much for being in the podcast. Thank you for sharing all the resources, the tips, the learnings. I really appreciate it and enjoyed our conversation. So thank you so much. And bye bye to our listeners. Bye.
Yeah, bye.